Hey folks, thanks so much for checking into the Neutral Zone Hotel. We are an unapologetically left-leaning podcast that explores hockey at its best and at its worst. My name is Benjamin, my pronouns are he, him, and I'm thrilled you've chosen to join us today. I want to introduce you to a couple of my colleagues, starting with Emily.
Everyone, I'm Emily, they, she, Colorado Avalanche and Buffalo Sabres fan.
Sure, and we've also got SJ here.
Hello, everyone. I'm SJ. My pronouns are they, them, and I hail today from the beautiful city of Seattle, where I can assure you that the Everett Silvertips are doing great. And let's not talk about any of the other hockey teams that I cheer for.
I mean, it could be worse.
The Kraken are in a playoff position. So everybody's got their hopes up, but I don't know. The Silvertips are definitely winning the Memorial Cup this year, though.
Silvertips do look very good.
Write it in pen.
They look very good.
They're like they're so good. They're so good. They're the only joy in my life. That's not true.
I was going to say. Wow.
That'd be a little concerning, but I'm glad they're doing well.
You should never have the only joy in your life be like a bunch of teenage boys. That's just a bad idea.
Yeah.
That's really, really a poor idea. So
certainly nothing can go wrong there.
That was a lie. Yeah, absolutely not.
There's so much that I could say, but I think I'll leave it unsaid. Let's jump into the most important news of the week. Swayman versus Vasilevskiy. How do we feel?
I love a goalie fight.
2 in 1, 2 in a year, 2 in a month. Is it special anymore?
Okay, but this was an outdoor goalie fight, so it was special. Okay.
I completely missed the game. I was actually at a Silvertips game, so I did not see 1 second of it. People are talking about talking like this was the greatest outdoor game ever.
Yeah, I will be honest, I don't understand why people were so excited about the game. Maybe it was fun to be there, but the goalie fight rocked.
There was a tremendous comeback. It was 5-1, and then the Bruins did lose. So there is that.
That is also true.
We do love chaos. And you cannot get more chaotic than a goalie fight. So there is that. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't like the fighting. I'm not mad about it. It doesn't really do anything for me. I'm the only hockey fan in the world who does not care about it.
I don't particularly think that fighting is good for the game, but I have to admit, I love a goalie fight. Goalies are just so weird and odd that whenever they get a chance to do something like this, it just makes me very happy.
Mm-hmm. This did prompt me to look up whether Vasilevskiy or Swayman had a goal, and neither of them do. So they only need the goal to get their career Gordie Howe, as it were.
Gordie Howe.
Yeah. We talked about this on the Discord when there was the Nedeljkovic fight against
Bob.
Was that Bobrovsky?
It was Bob. Yeah.
He fought Bob.
So Nedeljkovic does have a goal, which gave him the 5th Gordie Howe.
Yeah.
The 5th ever Gordie Howe career hat trick for a goaltender, following Ron Hextall, obviously, known as Psychopath.
Yeah.
Chris Osgood, which is weird, but he does have that fight with Patrick Waugh that he that he
Yeah. Famously.
brutally lost. Oh, damn. I can't remember who the other one was.
Yeah, I don't
Mike
remember.
Smith, of course.
Oh, yeah,
We love
obviously.
Mike Smith.
Human Chaos, Mike Smith.
We do love Mike Smith.
But
We need to give out the Mike Smith Award again this year. I have thoughts.
we absolutely do, especially since there's been some interesting goaltending things going on. And the king of the Gordie Howe career hat trick for goaltenders is Billy Smith of the Islanders dynasty, who has 21 career fights.
That is nuts.
And unlike most other people on the list, he did not primarily fight goaltenders. He did fight some, but he was squaring off with heavyweights. He fought Tiger Williams.
What a psycho.
Which is... It's so funny.
That's a choice.
Red-eyed.
Admittedly, the goalie gear back then was less big, so it was probably easier to actually fight somebody, because right now they've got so much gear that it's a miracle they can move their arms enough to throw a punch. I still wouldn't fight Tiger Williams, but, you know.
He had fights against Paul.
That seems wise.
He had fights against Robbie Ftorek. He had fights against Paul Holmgren, and he had a fight against Dave Semenko. So these are serious fighters. It's very funny. The long and the short of it is, as great as it is when a goalie fights, and I agree with you, SJ, I don't think there should be more than one or two a season. I'll give the Stadium Series one a pass because it is the first one in an outdoor game, I think, and I think it does add a little bit to the spectacle. But nobody will ever take that heavyweight crown held by Billy Smith. Now, when it comes to pure on-ice insanity, Ron Hextall remains the winner.
That man.
Ron Hextall has multiple ACLs to his credit that he's taken out. But yeah, Billy Smith, like I said, fighting guys like Dave Semenko and Tiger Williams, that was nuts back then for a regular player, let alone a goalie. So,
yeah.
Which goalies, let's say we give a pass to the PWHL, they can have one goalie fight with no ramifications. Who are the two goalies who are most likely to fight?
In the P-Dub?
In the P-Dub.
I feel like if CJ ever got in a game, they'd probably be willing to fight.
I think CJ would be willing, but are they the most likely?
I mean, no, because they never get to play.
They've played games.
Not this season.
Well, yes, not this season.
You can pick a third stringer if you want. It's okay.
Okay. Who's the most psycho goalie? That's a great question.
I think the most psycho goalie is ARD.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
Renee?
can see that.
I think she has the most penalty minutes of any goaltender in the P-Dubs.
Well,
Okay, well, that seems promising.
That is promising. Let's actually, can we?
We can probably get that.
That information has to be available somewhere.
PIMS. Well, that's just this year. It won't let me pick all years.
That's rude.
This year, there's only Gwyneth Phillips has PIMS.
I mean, I could see Phillips throwing down.
Yeah.
Last year, ARD had 6 PIMS.
Okay.
And the year before, she was again tied for league lead with 2. So she has 8 career PIMS in the P-Dubs.
Okay, so I think we've decided it's got to be Debian versus Phillips.
Yeah, I can see it.
I can see it too.
Yeah.
All right, Renee Debian, Gwyneth Phillips, I know you're listening in Milan. So
Yeah.
you don't actually have a pass, but I want you to think about it strongly. Do it in Ottawa as a treat for me.
Yeah. I agree.
There we go.
The league's only fight did happen at TD Place, about 20 feet in front of me. So folks, we are going to start our Olympic preview series. I say series, it's not particularly long, but we are going to talk about the women's game in the run-up to Milan. We're going to talk about what's brought the women's game to this point, and I think 2026 is a pretty fateful year for the women's program. And we are going to talk about medal contenders and long shots. So, yeah. Anything you guys want to add before we kick that off?
Nope. Let's rock and roll.
Cool. So I'm going to start with a brief-ish overview of why the women's game is in such an interesting spot as we move into 2026. So this one starts in 2006. In 2006, Team Sweden defeats Team United States in the semifinals, also in Italy, in Turin, and goes on to lose to Canada in the gold medal game. This was like a shocking event. I don't know if either of you remember it. I know, SJ, you weren't much of a hockey fan at the time.
Nope.
Yeah, I think I just wasn't following the Olympics super closely at that point, because that feels like something I should remember and don't.
This was only the, third Olympics with women in it, with women's ice hockey?
Yeah. Yep.
The World Championship started in 1990. The first medal event in women's hockey was 1998. The United States won the first one. Canada won the second one in a very famous game. And then 2006, Canada wins again. 2010, Canada wins. There is a goal, I believe it is. Let me just get that final score up. I have so many things open right now. There are 2 goals. There's 2 goals scored in the final by a young forward named Marie-Philippe Poulin. You might have heard of her.
Sounds familiar.
Just maybe.
Yep. Maybe once or twice.
Just maybe. 2014, Canada wins again. 2018, that is where the United States wins their second gold medal. And, Switzerland was third in 2014, Finland third in 2018. And this is where I want to talk about how the women's game is starting to change. So primarily at this point in time, the top players in the country are coming from, or top players internationally are coming from the various women's leagues that have been established. In Canada, the Canadian Women's Hockey League, the National Women's Hockey League in the United States, the SDHL in Sweden, and so on. These leagues are generally very poorly funded. And as a result, most international level players are relying on international bursaries. So this leads to the 2017, I think it's the 2017 women's hockey strike in the United States. Do either of you know anything about this event?
No.
A little bit, but not much detail. I mostly just know that it happened.
So before this event, the women were only being paid bursaries in the run-up to and aftermath of an Olympic game. So for the six months out of every 4 years. This includes, there are some small bursaries for world championships, but just not a lot. As a result, the Megan Duggan, who was team captain, and the rest of the team announced a strike. This was just in the run-up to Women's Worlds. Team USA originally decided to reach out to a bunch of NCAA players and try to build like a team of scabs. Every single player, many of whom are now current PWHL players, every single player turned them down. They got turned down by over 30 players.
Good for them.
That rocks. We love solidarity.
The unions from all 4 major sports spoke out in support of the women, and the multiple men's players did. Alan Walsh who, when he posts, Alan Walsh, I think it's fair to say, is a poster, right?
Yes, he is.
He has a poster's heart.
He has a podcast. He has his own podcast. He's so much of a poster.
Alan, if you're listening, we'd love to have you on. I want to talk about some of your greatest posts. He posted that the men's players were considering boycotting the men's world championships in solidarity. It didn't take too long for a proper deal to get struck, longer bursaries, better training, and basically more involvement with women with USA Hockey. We talked about this a little bit previously. USA Hockey, not always the best at involving women, but at the time it was a victory. They win. I think they won the 2017 World Championships. They win the 2018 Olympics, and then we go to the next cycle. So Sweden, which had won that 2006 silver, had been seeing less success, and they were a team that was desperately underfunded and basically were being run by a coach who was not well regarded, a guy named Leif Bork, which, despite the name, is not SJ's dog going bork bork.
My dog would never mistreat the Sweden women's hockey team.
Yeah, I'm just going to read from Wikipedia here. There's not a lot in English on this, so I'm going to lean on the Wikipedia article a tiny bit. In 2016, Bork kicked Emma Eliasson off the team, despite her just being named Swedish Player of the Year and having captained Luleå to a Riksserien championship, and that's the league that predated the STHL. He also bullied Jenny Asserholt into retiring from the national team. She accused him of bullying her over her weight.
Oh, charming.
Gross.
Bork made a series of controversial tweets accusing players of compromising success, and eventually Sweden got relegated at the Worlds to the lower tier. So in women's Worlds, there's Group A and Group B. Group A is the top tier, and up until very recently, this I think changes this year. Group A, all members of Group A make the knockout round, while only some members of Group B. That happened in 2019. Sweden got relegated all the way down to the bottom division. And yeah, in 2019, the 43 players selected to the Swedish national team camp announced a strike due to lack of support and financial compensation, as well as supporting very negative coaches. They wanted insurance. They wanted more time for national camps. They wanted the money back. So their financial compensation had been completely cut, which was 400,000 kroners a year. And that's roughly $40,000 American. Travel conditions, long-term plan for the growth of hockey, nutrition. The Four Nations Cup was canceled over the strike. And again, this team got multiple support from outside of the game. The PWHPA, which we'll talk about in a moment. The multiple NHL players, including Henrik Lundqvist, Mika Zibanejad, and Matthias Ekholm, spoke out in support of the women. And eventually, the strike was lifted, and they moved into a collective bargaining agreement, creating a agreement in September of 2020 between the STHL, the league, and the national teams for injury insurance, job finding, post-retirement, and a few other pieces. So basically, for a solid year, the Swedish team was either on strike or in opposition with their general leadership. And then during this time, the pandemic happened. So the vast majority of the Swedish women's team turned over within a few years. And the Swedish team, even though it's got some really, really good players on it, which SJ I think is going to talk about a little bit later, all these players are comparatively new. They don't have so much in the way of a Poulen or a Knight or a Michelle Karvinen, who's been with the program forever because they basically got rid of everyone. So one of the major players in ice hockey is completely reset. At the same time that this is happening, we see the demise of the Canadian Women's Hockey League. Does everyone here know how the Canadian Women's Hockey League functioned?
No.
Like from a financial and from an organizational perspective?
My only understanding is that it largely did not.
Yes.
So the CWHL was run as a nonprofit. Players received bursaries to the tune of 10,000 Canadian a year. They were able to make more money by selling merchandise, which meant that players were selling merchandise out of their cars in some places. Like, it's kind of the way that wrestling does it, where guys would sell merch out of their cars for extra money. There was low protection for things like insurance, injuries, and there was very little marketing. And I'll say this. In order to try to drum up a little bit more attention for the finals, one of the last finals was held, all the playoffs were held in Ottawa with the best players in the world. Like Calgary was there, so Jenner was there, Montreal was there, so Boulin was there. I didn't hear about it until it was done.
Oh, great work.
So unsurprisingly, there wasn't a lot of money. It got shakier and shakier, and it folded. The NWHL, which was going to become the Premier Hockey Federation.
Yeah, PHF.
It
was the PHF for 1 year, and then the definitely not a hostile takeover happened.
Well, they bought all of the teams.
Yes.
Yeah. Some players from the CWHL went to the NWHL, but the conditions were considered so inferior that they decided not to, and that's when they formed the PWHPA.
Yep, that's correct.
Yes, PWHPA.
Yes. That and the professional hockey writers one, I always say wrong.
There's the PWHPA, the PWL,
PWHL,
PWHL, PA. Yeah, see, and then the PHPA.
There are too many.
Yeah.
Too many acronyms. But the PWHPA, it becomes the primary force for organizing the top players in the game around 2019 through the pandemic, and they do their barn-burning tours. And that's sort of the division in hockey that we saw until the creation of the PWHL.
At least in North American hockey.
In North American hockey, yes. In European hockey, the SDHL, with its foundation, becomes the primary league. But as we have talked about, they were paying hundreds of dollars a month to their players. I've heard that's gotten better. I've heard it's now still not a living wage, but it's more money as a result of the PWHL. But I think what the big difference is right now is in the PWHL, every major national program has at least one player in North America playing to true professional standards. And this did not happen under the CWHL, did not happen under the NWHL. It happened to an extent in the NCAA, but once players exit the NCAA, they exit the benefits of playing for a team like Wisconsin or Michigan, I think, or a Boston team, be it university or college.
Can we actually say explicitly what we consider to be the major nations, the major women's ice hockey nations?
We can. So obviously it's Canada and the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And then it would be anyone who's medaled in the last few years. So Czechia, Finland, and then on the outskirts you have Sweden and Switzerland, who have medaled before, but not terribly recently. So number 3 in the world is a toss-up between Finland and Czechia right now. Czechia has a couple bronze recently. Finland has a couple bronze recently. Switzerland and Sweden older. And Switzerland has more money, I think, in the women's game right now, just because of Switzerland having money, but Sweden has the larger ice hockey tradition and the larger and more successful women's league. So again, I think it all comes back to the PWHL, because it's not just about salaries, although obviously being able to make a okay living being a hockey player, I think, is very important. But it's the professional level of the training facilities, access to proper sports medicine, and playing every day or every week, I guess, in the PWHL against the best players in the world, which is not something that you would get. So as good as a player like Ronja Savalainen was in the SDHL, where she was dominant, or Michelle Karvinen playing in the Finnish league, where she was dominant, there's only so much you can do when you are that good in a league where most players aren't. And I think it's led to an improvement of these programs. To illustrate this fact, look at Finland versus the United States in the last few World Championships. 5 years ago, the gap is 11-1, and now it's 3-1. So the games are getting tighter. And all it's going to take now is one really good goaltender performance, and a team like Czechia or Finland could do what Sweden did in 2006 and break through to the finals. And that could be against Canada, or it could be against the United States. Like there's a world out there where Klara Peslarova shuts out Canada. I can see it.
Especially because it's single elimination. You only need to do it once. This isn't a 7-game series or anything.
As Canada has found out at the last few World Juniors, you can be eliminated. Doesn't matter to who. Just thank God there's no Latvians in the women's game yet, or at least not at this level.
We actually should go over Olympic format before we jump into the teams
probably.
as well.
I think that's a great idea. Is anyone prepared to do that?
I can do that. I brought up the page. Okay, yeah. So what you said. So there are two groups. Group A is the 1 through 5 seeds, and Group B is the 6 through 10 seeds. All of Group A, regardless of how they do in group play, will advance to elimination play. It's a little bit wacky. So A1 will play B3 in quarters, A2 will play B2, A3 will play B1, and A4 will play A5 in quarters. So only the top 3 in B. I should definitely tell you the actual teams. So the seeding is Canada, United States, Finland, Czechia, Switzerland in Group A. So they will all advance. And then in Group B, Germany, Sweden, Japan, Italy as the host country, and France. So in Group B, while the top 3 will advance, I don't anticipate that. The only one with a real puncher's chance is maybe Sweden. And even if they win the group, they'll still have to play.
Third best Group A team.
Oh, goodness. The third best A team.
Yeah,
They could get stuck with the United States or Canada.
They absolutely could, depending on how that goes.
Yeah.
One of the things that is really interesting to me is each team, regardless of where they are on that list, has a current or former PWHL player. So again, when speaking of the growth of the game and the skill level they're in, even Italy has a former PWHL player.
Oh, who is it?
So Kristen Della Rovere.
Okay.
Of your first year Ottawa Charge.
Nice.
Yeah. Apparently she qualified for Italian citizenship. So she's been playing in Europe and is on Team Italy.
Nice.
Yep. So I think that is something that makes a difference. The availability of that level of professionalism. I don't think it's going to help Italy or Japan medal, but I think it does elevate their programs. When John and I went to the 24 question mark. Yeah, 2024 women's Worlds. We did watch Group B games in Utica.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I wanted to go to that one.
In Utica, very close to Colorado.
Yeah.
For me, it was a 3-hour drive. So, but yeah, we went to the Group B games, and they were decent games of hockey. I think that we're going to see that in this as well. So yeah, I think that is worth noting. Again, do we want to jump into the contenders and talk about those the two teams for whom gold, I think, is the only acceptable outcome?
Let's do it. All right. We can start off with the reigning Olympic champion, Team Canada. If you pull up the Canadian roster and you are a PWHL fan, you will notice that every single player on this roster plays in the PWHL. Lots of big names. I mean, I feel like that's just Canadian women's hockey at this point, is like everyone who's on the national team is a big name. But if you follow women's hockey at all, you're going to know pretty much every name on this roster. I would say in terms of roster snubs, some big ones, they only have PWHL players. They do not have any NCAA players. So notably, they did not invite Chloe Primerano or Eve Gascon, both of whom were on the rivalry series rosters. But it seems like Canada is really leaning on experience this go round. A couple other names, Danielle Stradakny and Micah Zandy Hart, both of whom were on the most recent Worlds team, did not make the roster. So in addition to all of their players being PWHL players, you will note that their youngest player is their third string goalie, who is 23 years old. Everyone else is older than that, up to 37-year-old Jocelyn Larocque. So again, Canada's really looking at experience here rather than new faces. I mean, it's not like they're rolling out the shambling corpse of anyone, but older. Yeah, what's up?
I was just going to say Larocque is the second oldest player in the tournament.
Is she?
The oldest.
Oh, no.
And the oldest player in the PWHL by like a lot. So
I mean, 37 is not young in hockey years.
It's not young in the men's game.
What do you mean? Spring chicken.
It's not young in the men's game, and we don't really know what the women's game is going to look like in terms of longevity. Like, simply put, most people retire in advance because there's not been a league and the money is not there.
True.
But currently it's quite aged, and especially when you have Chloe Primerano, who could be taking that spot, I'm very curious. I think that Troy Ryan and Gina Kingsbury, the rumor I've heard is that they don't have a contract with Team Canada for next year. So I guess we'll see.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah, and I mean, I can see the argument, let Larocque get one last Olympics in because she's probably not going to be playing at 41. Maybe she will be, but it seems unlikely. But also, I don't know why you wouldn't bring Primerano as sort of the start of the next generation of Canadian women's hockey stars.
It worked for Canada in 2010 when they brought the next generation.
Sure did. Yeah. Other notes, so they have 16 players returning from the 2022 Olympic roster, and 8 of those have at least 2 Olympics under their belt. So Canada is their experience. They've been here, they've done it. They know what they're here for. Some other notable things, we have Katie Tabin's senior national team debut at, I think she's 28 years old, which is kind of cool to see her finally cracking that roster. Other things to look at, Sarah Nurse is back after having missed 11 games in the PWHL season, although she came back and didn't miss a stride, so I don't know that anyone is actually particularly worried about her health. I know that was a concern when she was first out, but seems like she's fine.
Yeah, she came back really strong. I know Trevor was quite happy.
Yeah, she's second in goals on Vancouver despite missing 11 games. So seems like she's doing just fine.
On the other hand, the Golden Eyes have been unable to score at all without her, so
Details.
She didn't have to clear a very high bar.
That's very fair. Yeah, so I would say, obviously, Canada, the expectation is winning a gold medal. And given that Marie-Philippe Poulin is still on the roster, that feels like a distinct possibility, even if the roster is maybe a little older than people might have hoped going into this year.
To be clear, in international hockey, Poulin has 56 goals in 94 games, which is quite a lot.
Yeah, that seems good. I think she might be good at this.
She might be. Probably the second most prolific player at the international level of her generation after Hilary Knight, but she scores more in the Olympics than Hilary Knight does. Including in the 2022 Olympics, where she put up 17 points in 7 games, which, again, I'm told that's pretty good.
Sure might be.
Tell us about Team USA.
All right, so moving on to Team USA. Again, a lot of big names that you're going to recognize if you follow women's hockey. I would say fewer surprising snubs on this roster. I personally have my feelings hurt by Jessie Comfer being left off the roster. Somewhat surprising given that she was on the team at Worlds and also the rivalry series. But you know, these things happen. A couple other names from that Worlds roster, Lacey Eden, Savannah Harmon, and Anna Wilgren, all didn't get a spot. But for the most part, I think the U.S. roster is sort of what you would have expected to see. You know, Hilary Knight is back. So people are going to be excited about that.
Oh, Captain, my Captain. For her 5th Olympics.
Yeah.
Hilary Knight is a treasure.
That's right.
She is.
So I think it is interesting that they're taking so many players from the NCAA. I would have expected, I absolutely expected them to take Carolyn Harvey and Abby Murphy, but to see like Joy Dunn and Kristen Sims and Tessa Janecke there, that tells me that Team USA is 100% preparing for a youth movement and a rollover.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I think that's smart. They've got 11 players returning from the 2022 Olympics. So it's not like they don't have senior leadership, but they've also got 7 girls from the NCAA coming. So they're prepared to have 11 more at the 2030 Olympics.
I don't see Hilary Knight being there in 4 years.
She's said this is her
she's
final
announced.
Olympics. She has announced.
Oh yeah,
it.
she's announced.
Yeah.
Kendall Coyne-Schofield, I don't see. Alex Carpenter, I don't see. Lee Steckline, Haley Skamara shouldn't be on this team. I'm sorry. I don't know why she's there. Kelly Panic, even 34, maybe. So you're really looking at turning this team over to the Megan Keller generation. And that generation, other than Shida Hurl and Taylor Heisey, Um, it's missing some of the firepower that the current generation, I think, has. So I can understand leaning into the youth.
Yeah, it's absolutely the correct move, I think. I'm so mad that Britta Curl is on this roster.
Yeah.
She's too good not to take. She just is.
Okay, but she plays dirty, which flies even less in IAHF hockey. So
Look, I am so excited for her to get kicked out of the entire games after she just massacres some like no-name Team Switzerland defender or something. It's going to be very funny for me personally.
I'm really excited about Layla Edwards making her Olympic debut.
yes, that's going to be awesome. So Layla Edwards is going to be the first Black woman to play on the U.S. women's Olympic hockey team, which rocks. And also she's amazing.
Yes. So expect her to go high in this summer's PWHL draft. Could be third.
Absolutely. Maybe.
Behind Harvey and Murphy?
Layla Edwards going third tells you about how strong this year is going to be.
It's going to be such a good draft.
Yeah, this draft is so stacked. Yeah, she is amazing. So so here's my question for you. Between the US and Canada, which one do you think is going to do it?
So I do think the US is better on paper. I think they've got better goaltending. I think there's something to be said for the youth movement they've got going on there. But also, I refuse to count out a team that still has Marie-Philippe Poulin. Yeah, I mean, the U.S. did win Worlds. They swept the rivalry series. The two rosters are pretty similar, but I feel like the added pressure of it being the Olympics may have Canada playing less badly than they did at the rivalry series. I don't know how much they actually care about those games, to be totally honest.
Less and less every day.
Yeah. So I think on paper, but also you have to wonder, is the U.S. going to end up shortening their bench a ton because, oh God, we have all of these babies out here who are stressed and gripping their sticks too much and not playing well. And suddenly you've got Hillary Knight out there for 26 minutes a night and, they're all just exhausted.
Yeah, don't do that to my captain.
Yeah.
So I think that it is a very good year for Canada to take a veteran team. When you look at the year that certain players on it are having, like Jenner is in the middle of a killer season. Sarah Nurse came back and she's on fire. Poulin has been excellent. Debienne has been extremely good. But there are also some blinding challenges for Canada. Sophie Jakes has been good, but not as good as advertised in Vancouver. Same with her Vancouver defending friend Claire Thompson. Both of them are, I don't want to say they're underperforming as the whole team, but they're not standing out as much as they should. It's been a down year for other players like Sarah Fillier, Renata Fast. Daryl Watts has been pretty good, but I have negative feelings towards Daryl Watts. So it's up in the air. What I find interesting about Team USA, though, is I don't think their deployment is going to be as good as people think it's going to be. They're going to start Frankel, and I think that's a mistake. As good as Frankel's been, Gwyneth Phillips has been better when you look at the advanced stats. Phillips, Frankel was saving way more goals above expected for the first 6 or 7 games of the season. But since Ottawa got off of their losing streak and Boston has evened out a bit, Phillips has been extremely dominant. And I think that is something that USA may end up regretting. I think that, yes, you've got a lot of firepower up front in terms of Britta Curl and Kendall Schofield, but it falls off. Like Carpenter's she's having a decent year, but not as good as before. Grace Zumwinkle has essentially disappeared in Minnesota since Curl showed up.
That was also kind of a surprising roster choice. I think a lot of people did not expect her to make the roster, and she did. And I don't know if there's some sort of internal politics at play there.
It's the same for Haley Skamura, who they've been playing as a fourth line grinder, and she's a good player, but I think you take there are more skilled players available, or players put up more points available. So I think there are some roster decisions here that are going to hold them back. The X factor for Team USA is how do the NCAA players fit in? How are they used? And are they allowed to excel? And I think you pointed out earlier.
I'm hoping Bluesky will be better than Johnson in terms of his choices with deployment, but we will see.
At the end of the day, I give the USA the edge in goaltending. I give the USA the edge in defending, but I give Canada the edge on both experience and forwards. And I think it's going to be close to a coin flip, but if I had to call it, if I had to make a prediction, Canada beats USA in overtime, 3-2, goal by Mary Philippe Poulin, because why not run it back a fourth time?
That does seem like a safe bet. Also, not to spoil next week's preview, but that commentary sounds oddly similar to what I found on the men's side.
I mean, again, not to spoil next week, but I think one of Canada or the USA is not making the finals for the men's side. I don't know which one.
That would rock. That would be so funny.
It would be very exciting if that happened.
I would be more excited for it to happen in women's hockey. Because a silver medal, or even, a gold for Finland or Czechia, I think would blow the game wide open 5 years down the road.
Mm-hmm.
It would be much more meaningful for sure.
Yeah,
it would be funnier though on the men's side.
I think USA. I don't want to get too much into it, but I think Team USA for the men's side is going into this with huge weaknesses.
Can I just say I've decided to call it Miracle on Ice derangement syndrome.
I think that's valid.
Right? Yeah, I'm right. Yeah. Okay. We're going to talk more about that next week.
All right. So there's a little preview for next week. But thank you for walking us through those teams, Emily. It is interesting. It is experience versus youth. And I think that is such a fascinating storyline. But let's talk about the long shot for the finals, but certainly in contention for bronze. SJ, who do you want to talk to us about first?
Yeah, so I'm going to talk about these kind of in order of performance historically. Let's talk about Finland first. So Finland had the bronze medal in Beijing 2022, and they also have bronze at each of the last two Worlds. They are, of course, in Group A with Canada, US, Czechia, and Switzerland, and they are playing a largely veteran group. So these are almost the whole team is Olympic returnees. I believe Karvinen this is like her fifth Olympics. So this is just a really, this is a team that's been there, done that. And I think that they are hoping to upset in this Olympics. And I think that because all athletes are inherently at this level are inherently psychotic, they truly believe they can do it. And I hope that they can. So I am going to talk about pretty much just the forward group, though. I think all the most notable players on this team are forwards. So one name you may not have heard if you you're making a face.
I'm angry at you.
Okay, that's fine. One name you may not have heard if you only follow the PWHL is Petra Nieminen, who has declined to come over to the PWHL. She certainly could make a roster, but she really wants to stick in the SDHL with Luleå. She is leading the SDHL in scoring. So she has 43 points in 25 games in the SDA
Seems good.
in the SDHL this year. This is her third Olympics. And she did score 8 points in 7 games in Beijing. So an incredibly good goal scorer, every bit as good as her teammate, Susanna Tapani, who has 8 points in 14 games with the Boston Fleet. And tied Nieminen for 8 points in 7 games in the last Olympics. You are probably fairly familiar with with Susanna Tapani, a really great player. Michelle Karvinen is in her 5th Olympics, and she was kind of I'd say the Golden Knights kind of took a flyer on her. Very much a win now kind of pick this year. She came over to the PWHL for just this year, and she has 6 points in 16 games with the Golden Knights. Maybe that number should be higher. It's not bad considering how bad the Golden Knights have just kind of been this year. And she had 7 points in 7 games in the last Olympics. Another name you may not be familiar with because she only spent 1 year with the Sirens and then returned to Europe is Nora Tulis, who has now 36 points in 33 games with Brynäs IF in the SDIHL. And she had 5 points in 7 games in the last Olympics. So I think Finland has a really great forward group. And like I said before, they are looking for a medal of any color. I know they're hoping for an upset, but if they don't beat Czechia for it, I would not be shocked. Benjamin, you seem to have strong feelings about Finland.
Well, I think that you are sleeping on someone who has a chance to be the top defender in the tournament, who is Ronja Savolainen of the Ottawa Charge.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about her. I'm sorry. Oops. No, you're right. You're right. Ronja Savolainen, excellent player.
So when John and I scouted Team Finland in 2024, Ronja was one of the 2 players who stood out. She was excellent. But the other is Eliza Holopainen, who plays for Frölunda in the STHL and currently leads that league in goals with 24 in 34 games. She's only a few points back of Nieminen. So another PWHL ready talent who has chosen not to come over yet. Someone I would love to see in North America. I think she could make it go. And then from a goaltending perspective, they have a bit of a goaltending controversy between Emilia Shirkio, I think is how it's pronounced, and Sani Aula. Sani Aula is the only one who has professional experience, but she's playing as Ottawa's backup. And Shirkio has actual starting time this year for St. Cloud State Huskies. And they split time last year, where Finland won bronze at the Women's Worlds, but Sani got more of the starts. So it will be interesting to see, I think, what happens there. I think they'll probably give both of them some games and then see who has the hot hand and ride her.
Yeah, fair enough. And I do apologize for forgetting about Ronja. This is what happens when you do your work at the last minute.
Mm-hmm. It's okay. I'll forgive you this time.
Okay. So let's talk about Czechia. Czechia didn't medal in Beijing. They didn't medal in each of the last 2 Worlds. They lost in the bronze medal game both times. But they are an absolute unit of a team coached by Carla McLeod of the Ottawa Charge. And I think they have so many players that are notable that I just picked one for each position to talk about. So obviously, Kristina Kaltenkova went first overall for the New York Sirens in this last PWHL draft. She is an incredible player. 12 points in 16 games for the Sirens.
11 goals.
And 11 of them
goals and 1 assist.
Yeah.
And the assist was an accident.
Rock.
It bounced off her skate. She is the epitome of no pass, only shoot. This woman wants to score goals. She loves scoring goals, and I think that on the world's biggest stage, she's going to be thrilling. Like, we are talking a candidate for the best forward in the, like, Poulin, Knight, anyone else. Kaltonkova, I think, has a very similar chance of becoming the top forward in the awards, regardless of where they finish. She is electric.
Yep. Yes, and this is her first Olympics, so she is going to absolutely make a splash in her Olympic debut. I'm really excited to watch her play. At D, I picked Aneta Terelova because she is a Seattle Torrent. I believe she's also the captain of the team.
Yes.
Only 1 point in 7 games with the Torrent, 2 points in 5 games for the last Olympics, but she is a defender, so you don't necessarily expect her to put up a ton of points. Really rock solid kind of defender, so very excited to see her play. I picked a Klara Peshlarova at goalie. She played 1 year with the Boston Fleet last year. She only got into 4 games. She was really good, a 937, but she did return to the SDHL this year so that she could, actually freaking play. I believe she's played like 20 games with Brenus this year, and she has a 913. At the last Olympics, she did play every game, and she had a 945 in 5 games. So absolutely solid in goal.
Peslarova, I think, is a key return candidate next year, especially if they do the big 4-team expansion that is on the table. She is someone who is good enough to be a starting goaltender in the PWHL, and the only reason she's not there is because no one gets ice time backing up Aaron Frankel. It just does not happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Fleet still own her rights.
I don't know how that works with her, if they extend it for a year because she goes back, or if it expires at the end of this year. I simply don't know.
She probably wants. It would be in her best interest, certainly, if she was a free agent and she could just, go. But I agree. She needs the ice. She needed the ice time, especially in an Olympic year. So I can't blame her for wanting to return.
I expect that is the argument for a lot of players who could have come over at any position, but especially goaltender.
Yeah, absolutely. One last player I wanted to call out was Natalie Mlinkova. She is a younger player on the team. She's just 24, 6 points in 15 games with Montreal. And but she is still a returnee, 1 point in 5 games at the last Olympics. So again, I just love this Czechia group. I think it's so good. If I was going to tab a team for bronze, it would be Czechia. I think it would be quite the upset if anyone else beats them out of a medal. If they end up, I think it would be very disappointing if they end up 4th again.
I think another interesting storyline for Czechia is it also is a team in the middle of turning over kind of the old guard. So like Terelova is probably in our last Olympics. Another one is Katerina Mrazova, who has been recovering from a wrist injury since last year. Does not look the same, but she's going to be their top line center, most likely. Obviously, she'll be replaced by people like Malinkova and Kaltonkova going forward. But really kind of this old guard rolling over, and Czechia is going to bring in their next line of players. Once Czechia saw a huge spike in women's playing enrollment when they started winning bronze medals a few years ago. So we're probably about 5 or 6 years from seeing those players hit the NCAA. So in about 10 years, we should be seeing a lot more Czech women entering the professional rosters and being eligible for Olympics. And I think that's really exciting.
Yeah, that's going to rock.
I agree with you, though. I think they do have that. They do have that chance at the bronze. And again, like I could see Peslarova shutting out Canada or the USA.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they've got a real chance for silver or gold. Like it's a long shot, but I think it exists.
No shade on the goaltending for Finland, which is still got the chance, I think. But Peslarova is by far the best goaltender in this tournament that doesn't play for Canada or the United States. And I think she's probably better than half of the goaltenders on Canada and the United States. Like she's Phillips, Dabian, Frankel levels of good. So I do think that she, one, will be back in the PWHL next year, probably as a starting goaltender somewhere. And two, I think that she has a chance of saying, no one's getting any goals tonight. And that would be really exciting if that happened in the semifinals.
Yeah, it would. It absolutely would. All right, well, let's wrap it up with Sweden. Definitely Sweden is kind of rebuilding their program. Benjamin went through all of that. They are the only team I'm going to talk about in Group B. And they were eliminated by Canada in the quarterfinals in Beijing 2022. They absolutely have not medaled since the Olympics in Torino. But who knows, maybe coming back to Italy is exactly what they need. So I think success for Sweden looks like making it out of the quarters. It's going to be really tough right now, for them. They are absolutely going to have to play one of the U.S., Canada, or probably Czechia. And that's going to be a bear. They do have quite a few players in the PWHL. Sarah Hjalmarsson, 0 points in 16 games with the Toronto Centers, but she is an everyday player. She did not get any points in the last Olympics. Maya Nealon-Persson on the Sirens, 4 points in 16 games as a defender, 2 points in her last Olympics. And she was also one of the players that the Sirens protected in the expansion draft. So they obviously feel very strongly about her. And then in goal, their goalie is Emma Soderberg. I expect she will play every game at this Olympics. While she was in previously with the Fleet last year, she had an 884 in 6 games with the Fleet. She did return to the SDHL to play with SDEHF, where she has a 931 in 16 games this year. So definitely her numbers popped up. Yep, I think this is a squad that is going to rely a lot on their goaltending.
This is a very young team. So Japan, Germany, Italy, France have a few, well, not so much Italy, but the other ones do have a lot of younger players. But and geez, Japan's taking a 16-year-old, wild. But Sweden, we are talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 players aged 24 or younger.
Oh, wow.
And 6 of them aged 20 or 19. So
yeah,
this
that's
is,
really young.
again, you can see where this is a program that was annihilated, right? Like 6 or 7 years ago. The only players over 30 are Lisa Johansson and Anna Sjödin. And Sjödin is the only one of those two who's played in the PWHL. Sarah Hjalmarsson, as you said, is she's like the next oldest player at 27. So Soderberg is going to be the starter. She went back to Sweden so that she would get starting time after being a backup. Jessica Adolfsson was playing reserve for Ottawa last year, but she moved to back to Sweden again to get playing time. And there are a couple players here who are probably PWHL ready, like Hanna Olsson and Felicia Vikner-Zinkovitsk. I think both of them are ready to go, and probably Hanna Tuvik as well, She's very, very good hockey players. So they also have quite a lot of players in the NCAA. So a lot of their young players, like Jenna Raunio and Hilda Svensson, play for Ohio. And then there's some Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs in there, and one Golden Gopher. They call them the Golden Gophers. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, that's the team name.
Yeah, so you do see them going to the top developmental league in the world as well. So like Sweden is very much a team that I think will be a lot better in 2030. But they do have, I think, a chance of breaking through to the semis and really elevating. This is the year where they're really leaning into that generational turnover and really getting the players in to replace the ones who disappeared. And for the last 5 or 6 years, they've been, I don't want to call them substandard players, but they've been relying on players who weren't up to international standard. And as a result, Sweden's place in the world of hockey has suffered. So seeing them get ready to kind of move, hopefully ready to move back into competition and to compete at the top levels where they were 20 years ago, I think is really good for the game. Hockey is better when more teams are good at it.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Hockey's better when Sweden's in the top group.
And I think that's it. So obviously there are a few other teams. We didn't touch on Switzerland, which, I mean, realistically, Switzerland, I think, has a puncher's chance at the bronze, but that's going to rely on Alina Mueller going absolutely supersonic.
I'm skeptical.
I don't think there's any other way that they would. Yeah, she's a great player, but
yeah,
they're a solid team.
I don't think she's capable of.
But she's not going to score a bunch of goals for them.
No. And at the end of the day, it's a team drawn almost entirely from the Swiss top league, which is not as good as the SDHL. It's not as good as the Finnish league. And then in Group B, I don't see anyone other than Sweden for that. Japan, I think, will probably qualify. They have a few players, but France, Germany has at least a couple PWHL players, and Laura Kluge and Sandra Abstreiter and Katarina Job-Smith. But
yeah, I could see Abstreiter taking Germany into the quarters where they will get killed.
Yeah.
I was legitimately very shocked that Abstreiter stayed in the PWHL this year. Like, legitimately. I thought she was going to go to Europe and try to get playing time.
She may just be a big enough name that she wasn't worried about needing the visibility. But that is...
I mean, she's big. She's 6 foot tall.
A giant.
Yes.
She is very tall.
I agree. That is like a foot taller than I am.
I wasn't going to say it.
It's not shameful to be 5 foot tall. It's just the way it is.
Lots of people are. I'm just saying Sandra Abstreiter can get that thing you need off the top shelf.
We need those people.
That's right.
It's very inconvenient to try to get a stool every time I need something off the top shelf.
Just get yourself a PWHL goaltender. That's much more convenient than getting a stool.
Well, it's not a bad plan. I'm going to follow through.
How tall are your goalies?
I love this for you.
Seattle.
How tall are Schroeder and Murphy and Jackson? I don't know.
I'm pulling it up now. Schroeder is 5'11".
Oh, very
Murphy
tall.
is 5'10", and CJ is only 5'5". So,
okay.
All right.
There you go. So you can call Schroeder over, and she can get the stuff off your top shelf for you.
That's right.
It's fine.
You can just bill it a PWHL goalie. That's fine.
I'm giving back to the community.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, thanks so much for listening to the Neutral Zone Hotel, which is written, hosted, and produced by us, the Neutral Zone Hotel crew. You can find out more at neutralzonehotel.com. We're on Bluesky, also at neutralzonehotel.bsky.social. You are on YouTube, / Neutral Zone Hotel. Imagine that. If you're having a great time, thumbs up, 5 stars, smash like buttons, tell a friend, anything you need to do. Hang out with us on Discord, where our permanent link is located at neutralzonehotel.com/Discord. And we just want to say thanks for checking in, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.